What we're busy with now, I'm just cleaning up the wiring. Client with a fused ankle has asked us to install an electric shifter. You'll just be able to shift up and down from the top here without having to use his foot. Obviously you'll still have to use the clutch. So now we're just neatening up the wiring and then going to take it for a test ride. She's riding sweet, shifting nicely through all the gears. I just got to do one or two little adjustments and then she's ready to hit the road again.
So this style of life is the Triumph Bobber. So what we've done in the back here, we've changed the rim and we put a 180 rear pie on with knobbly. And then we machined out the tail light section so we could have the run brake light incorporated in the seat with the badge build number. And then we wanted a clean hugger fender, so we fabricated a streamlined fender that just hugs the wheel.
Amazing, dude.
Let's go check what's cooking inside, show you what we built inside. Thank you for having us and showing us what's involved behind the early hours of crafting delicious goods.
So the day usually starts at about between 3 and 4 a.m. The customers are expecting a certain amount of goods.
Yes.
We bake today for today, so everything's made fresh. Some items take us 3 to 4 days to produce. We don't put any preservatives or enzymes or dough improvers or anything, so it's the natural product.
And that's why it's so important to try and calculate how busy you're going to be for the day.
Exactly, and you get to gauge it, but sometimes you just get taken out completely.
What has grasped my attention is the two ingredients you have there that you've been brewing for how many years?
So that's Henry, and Henry's a white bread sourdough starter, and Jessica is a rye starter.
Okay.
So it's 100% pure rye flour. So we use her for our rye sourdough, and we use Henry for white bread sourdough.
Okay.
Our sourdough takes 3 days to make. We have the starter, then we bulk it on day 1. We make the dough on day 2 and shape, and then we cold ferment and bake on day 3. We also use Henry in our pizza bases.
The breakfast pizzas, they're incredible.
Breakfast pizzas are great.
And I know you're really well known as well for your croissants, which you've created, if I'm not mistaken, you do a new one every weekend.
So we call it the croissant, donut, croissant. And basically it's croissant dough shaped like a donut and deep fried. And then fillings, toppings, garnish. And we were doing a different flavor every week for the last eight and a half years.
Yes.
And we never repeated a flavor. So it's like 300, 400 different flavors. But we moved the croissant to a monthly edition. Then we post it in the beginning of the month and you can get a whole month to prepare yourself, pre-order and get this croissant. And obviously it's going to be spectacular.
There's obviously a passion and dedication that drives you to wake up at 3 in the morning, and I mean sometimes you're here till the evening. What if you had to give someone advice they want to now pursue to become a baker? Look, passion and dedication are only going to get you so far.
South Africa, it's still very new. Okay. I mean, we were 15 years ago. We were the first artisan bakers in Cape Town.
Yes.
In Europe, you've got 5, 6, 7 generations.
Yes.
You know, so this craft of baking bread is fairly new, even though it's the oldest style of baking bread. So it's, as I was saying, it's relatively new. There's not a lot of bread courses.
And apprenticeship seems to have like kind of fallen away these days.
The youth these days, you know, they study a month pastry course and then come here and want to be the head pastry chef or the head baker. But then also during lockdown, everyone became a sourdough expert. So
but you guys have kind of built an institution, if you want to call it. So you created a style. Like I've got my style of how I build a bike and assemble a bike. You've got your baking style, which you can see in all your goods and the way you display it.
Well, I guess it's because we're creatives. So it's a natural process that you want to just always create, and you don't want to be just hit the status quo. And also you want to keep the public excited.
Yes.
And there's nothing more rewarding than them coming in and tasting something and go, that's good. So if you remember, I brought my FXDR to you when I got it, and we did the pipe, the heavy breather, the tail tidy at the back.
Yeah. There's actually no FXDR that has a tail tidy like that.
There's nothing, no.
Yeah.
And there's no FXDR that looks like that either.
Yes, 100%.
And it's definitely really clean, neat. You can look at it and go, that must be Jason's FXDR. And the workmanship is unbelievable as well. Yours, not Harley's. So that carries through from the baking, the customizing of our croissants and our breads, through to the bikes.
Your craftsmanship gets carried in through many products, not just what you create. Talking about bikes, I think we need to go for a ride now.
Right, so this is the 23-inch baby that's going to be going in here. As you can see, it's currently at the top of the fender there. So the bike is going to get a bit of height. This is for aesthetics and to complete the cholo look of these bikes. Well, that should give you about an idea of what she's going to look like.
We polished the disc bolts, also cleaned up the whole face of the disc, polished these few bolts over there, along there as well. So on the sprocket side, we've also just polished up this lip, neatened it, and also the bolts as well. So here we have the 23 fitted with just enough clearance over here on the tip of the fender. However, there is a full inch gap all the way around inside the fender. We have tested the bike at speed as well, so the tire elongation doesn't actually touch. And we've done a whole bunch of measurements. We can actually go onto the board and I can show you some of the measurements we've done there. So this was the standard setup and the travel on the fork. This was without the fender in, and as you can see, we only had 14 millimeters from the engine guard to the tire. That's without the fender on. So that would have completely smashed the fender. So first modification was to actually just shorten the dampering rods and stuff like that and check what's happening. And here we got 46 millimeters to the engine guard. And then this was mod number 2, just to check it out, which was too far, it was too close to standard. So I stopped measurements there and everything. Mod number 1 was actually the one to go for. And then we had to sort out the preload, just to make sure that all the preload on this actual spring was very similar, if not just a little bit more preload on it, so that we don't bottom out very easily. So as you can see, this is a pretty sweet ride. The stance is awesome. Once you're rolling as well, the way the suspension has been set up and just how this bike handles with these tires and rims, it's so awesome, and it's something I'd love to have in my garage.
All right, finally, the R90 Racer is getting ready to be disassembled. I'm really excited for this build. So the guy races Porsches in America, so the big thing for him was handling. So we're going to do a lot of suspension upgrade to this bad boy. We're going to strip down the fairing. We're going to design and manufacture exhaust out of 316 stainless. And because he races Porsches, the end cap on the older Porsches is quite iconic, so we're going to incorporate that onto the build. But like I mentioned, the suspension is the biggest key on the build, and we've ordered this insane set of Öhlins suspension. So here we go, the Öhlins. These are a thing of beauty. So we're going to design and manufacture our own triple clamps. We also have to design and manufacture our own caliper mounts. So the biggest challenge will be designing the triple clamps. And I'm really excited to get on to manufacturing these exhausts, which I'll start next week. So a quick update on the Indian. What we've been busy with is machining the grips out of aluminium for the clean look. As you can see, we've installed the turn signals and the mirrors. And we've also been working on the mounting for the seats and the back peg to hire all the wires. And the bars are all done now. The last thing we're going to do is the bezel, and then she's ready to be disassembled for paint.
Okay, so this is the right side of the fuel tank insert that we made. The one that's in there is the left side of the tank, and this one is going on the right side.
Here at Stoos Customs, we're all about the craft. In future episodes, we would like to feature other craftsmen in their trade. If this is something that interests you, drop us a mail at info@stooscustoms.com.
When something's made by a person's hands, there's a little bit of soul in there, there's a little bit of imperfection too. For me, I have to find satisfaction in the process. And that's what keeps me going.
Like and subscribe to get all the latest from Stoos Customs.